The evil that men do, the bad, the good, is often teared in their bones. Brilliant writer, Shakespeare, talked funny. Deacon Joe has asked me to come and talk to you about drugs. But as these ladies have lived it personally, I'm going to talk to you about the effect that drugs have on the people around you, your family, your aunts, your uncles, your mother, your father, your sisters, your brothers. They are all drawn into this ride that you're going to get on if you do drugs. When you do drugs, you buy a ticket. You buy a ticket to a roller coaster, and it's one you can't get off of easily. But that ticket doesn't only get you admission. It gets your mother, your father, your sisters, your brothers, your aunts, your uncles, like I said. They are all admitted to this ride. You're in the front car, turn around, they're all behind you, every one of them. And they did not buy a ticket to this ride. They did not want to be on this ride, but they're going to come along with you anyway. And the roller coaster is immense. It makes Kingda Ka or the Cyclone in Coney Island like a kiddie ride on a boardwalk. It's immense. 23 years I rode that roller coaster with my son Justin. He was 16 when he first started to use drugs. I had no idea. I had never had it in my family. We came from a fairly affluent family. Everybody was normal, so to speak. So I had no reason to believe that my son, or any of my sons or daughters, would be involved in drugs. But one day, a Saturday afternoon, my one son and two of his friends came to me, and they said, "You have to do something. Justin's using drugs, and he won't stop, and we don't know what to do." So I confronted him, sat him down, talked to him. He admitted that he was using cocaine and smoking weed. Not drinking, he had no reason to have any alcohol. He didn't like it, but the cocaine and the weed is what he preferred at the time. So I asked some friends, not knowing what to do because it was all new to me. What do I do? Where do I go? How do I seek help? And they gave me the name of some rehabs in the area. And there was one particular one I picked out in Pennsylvania. And we sent him there. It was a terrible time for him. He really didn't want to go. But we had him get him into the program to try to get him off the drugs. And the family was supportive. His brothers were very supportive. They used to come with us on the weekends to visit him and give him words of support and tell him that we were all there for him. His sisters were very young at the time, and they were dragged along anyway. They had no choice in the matter. They were too young to understand what really was happening. Justin was a normal child. He played football. He wrestled. He played baseball. Growing up, he was perfectly normal. And here was my son, now in a rehab, trying to get off cocaine and weed. Eventually, and he came home and got into an outreach program at home, went to the meetings, and was staying clean for a while. And it was good. It was a good time. When he was clean, he was a great kid. But unfortunately, the way it happens is that the drug is always there, and not everybody can escape it. So eventually he fell and went back to the drugs. And when he was on the drugs, it was anything he could do to get that drug, half the things that he did. But he would still, no matter what, the drug was so powerful that he would do literally anything He had an aunt, Aunt Rita, who has passed, God rest her soul. She was a wonderful woman. She loved Justin more than anything in the world. She was a wonderful, wonderful woman, but unfortunately she was also an enabler. Justin would go to her and ask her for money to buy a book, or to buy food, or to buy this, or buy that. And of course, he wasn't buying any of it. He was buying drugs. But in her heart, she loved him so much that she would give him the money. And he'd go out and buy his drugs. At one point, he had gotten clean and was not allowed back in the house yet. And she offered him her house to live in. And so he went and lived with her for a while he was clean. But eventually, again, he fell back into the drugs. He knew where she kept money in the house. He stole thousands of dollars from her to buy his drugs. A woman who did nothing but show him love. A woman who loved him deeply, he stole from. And thus led him on a road far worse than anything any of us could ever imagine. When he was using drugs, he was at house parties at Christmas time, at Easter time, and many, many holidays. He would be with us. If he was high, he was caught a couple of times going into my daughter-in-law's pocketbook, stealing money. He was caught taking money out of his mother's pocketbook many, many times. He didn't know where to stop. And because of the drugs, he didn't have any boundaries. Everybody, anybody that was within his reach was subject to what he could take from them. He had a very good friend, a lawyer friend, who had gotten him out of many a predicament. He'd get arrested for drugs, or for stealing, or for this, or for that. And this lawyer was great. He used to get him off, and sometimes never even bother taking a cent from us to take Justin into court, and he'd get him off. This one time they had gone to court and they were on their way home. And the lawyer said he would take Justin home, drop him off. And Justin says, "Can we stop at a friend of mine's house? I gotta pick up some paperwork for school." So the lawyer said, "Yeah, sure, that's no problem." So he stopped at the house. Justin came out with an envelope, and they went on their way. Something must have snapped in the lawyer's head and said, "Wait a minute." He pulled over to the side of the road. He goes, "Can I see the envelope, please?" He opened up the envelope, and there was heroin in the envelope. Now, here was a guy who had given so many hours to Justin, loved him. He had coached him in baseball as a child. He was a very good friend of the family, and a very, very good lawyer, who, if the police had pulled them over and found what was in that envelope, he would have lost his license and been disbarred. He'd have lost everything he had because Justin wanted the drugs. Nothing at all ever stopped him from using the drugs. And of course, this whole saga just started to drive wedges into our family. When he was clean, at one point, my son asked him to stand godfather to my grandson. He was clean for a while. Everybody said, "Okay, he's on the road to recovery. This is great." And so he did. He stood godfather. Of course, after a while, unfortunately, he went back to the drugs. Justin always said he was wired differently. I don't know if I believe that or not, but he said he was always wired differently than other people, because there was many people around him who did get straight, who stayed off the drugs, like these ladies here. I mean, they were able to get beyond it all. Some people can't. And there's no way out. You stay on that ride and you're buckled in, and you can't get off. And the wedge drove deeper and deeper into our family, to where my other sons said, "Dad, we don't want him around. We can't have him in our house." My one son had 2 children. He said, "I can't have him around the kids anymore." Even his own godson, he wasn't allowed in the houses. And the wedge just kept going deeper and deeper. Friends, relatives, they didn't want Justin around because they feared him. They didn't know when he would be straight and when he would be on the drugs, because you never knew. He could be straight for a while, and then all of a sudden, one day, boom, he'd go out and he'd cop, and he'd pick up drugs. He was at the end, he was a heroin IV user. So he had hit bottom real bad. I always told myself, and I tried to make myself realize, or maybe lie to myself, that I was ready, and I knew that someday I would get a call, and that call would be that he was dead. And I kept telling myself, I know this is gonna happen. I'm prepared for it. I'm ready for it. And every night I'd go to bed and I'd say, yes, if the call comes, I'm ready. I can handle this. But nothing prepares you for losing a child. There is nothing, no greater hurt, no greater damage than losing a child can do to a father or a mother. And one night, that call did come. It was from a girl he was living with. Justin had been in the hospital for ODing. He signed himself out. And he went home. He picked up before he got there. And she found him slumped in the bathroom with a needle in his arm. He had gotten what they call a hot batch. It was laced with a drug that killed him. Nobody is ever ready for that call. I want to leave you with a couple of things. One, I want to leave you with these booklets that I brought to you today. Deacon Joe will hand them out after we're done. I saw them in a catalog when I was looking for something else from a Catholic catalog called Autumn. It's just basically a notebook, some sticky notes and everything else. I want to give them to you. The reason I bought them was what I said also on the front. You are a blessing. And I want you to understand that you are a blessing. You're a blessing sent from God, being entrusted into your parents to raise you, to nurture you, to lead you on as men and women into this world. Listen to them. These ladies told you. Listen to your parents. They know. Believe me. You may not think so. You may not think they know anything. They're stupid, they're dumb. They don't know what's going on. They don't know how I feel. They don't know what's going on in school. They know. They know. In the words of another poet, Mark Twain, when I was 17, my father was the dumbest person on the face of the earth. When I turned 21, I was amazed how much he had learned in 4 years. Listen to your parents. Be the blessing that you were meant to be. And when you're stuck in a situation and you're at a party that maybe you didn't want to be at, but you are because of peer pressure, and somebody's got their hand out saying, just try it once. It'll be great. You'll see. You won't get addicted. Just once. It'll be fun. Come on, don't be a chicken. Just do it. I want you to stand there and I want you to look at their face. And in their face, I want you to picture your mother, your father, your sisters, your brothers, your family, with tears in their eyes, with broken hearts, because you bought a ticket on this stupid roller coaster that you had no business being on. Just listen to them. They know what you're talking about. They'll listen, I promise. They will listen. Thank you for listening to me, and may God bless you.